What's going on, America? This is Matt Reardon, the Oxford Outlaw. I've been saying now for the better part of a month that there are things not quite adding up with this pandemic, and that there are things that should definitely not be trusted. I'm definitely not casting doubt that COVID-19 is a serious virus that is spread much like any virus would. Flu by itself is a dangerous illness, but I believe there's much more going on here than what meets the eye. I believe there's a lot that we don't know, and honestly, probably never will know, which so easily stays tucked away from public knowledge in the top secret clearance, three-letter alphabet agencies. Is it a coincidence that just when the economy is booming, the stock market is setting record highs, we're winning in trade wars, school shootings have stopped, our nation is at peace, and the Democratic Party is a disaster? So is their likely nominee, Joe Biden. Looks like Trump is a sure bet for re-election after fending off 3 years of investigations and impeachment. Then all of a sudden, world Christ pandemic strikes. Stock market tumbles, companies are laying off employees, everything is closed and canceled, CEOs of giant companies are resigning, and indictments are coming. We're in a global trade war with China, brought on by President Trump. And let's not forget Joe Biden's backdoor deals with China as well. China doesn't want 4 more years of President Trump. It all seems rather convenient for all the nations and opponents of our current president and economy 5 months before we have an election. Couldn't have hit at a more opportune time. With the Democrats running out of campaign talking points, in light of no school shootings, no migrant caravans at the southern border, fighting in Syria winding down, North Korea not firing any missiles, and President Trump beating a sham impeachment, the coronavirus gave them one last Hail Mary to try and point fingers at President Trump with the clock winding down in 2020. So I have a message for our president and Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, I think you've done a phenomenal job leading this country as our president. I believe that as a result of you going down your long bucket list of campaign promises, checking one by one off, our party as a whole, as well as America in general, has united, energized, and prospered. America has garnered more respect than it has had in a long time, and I believe that there are some that this doesn't sit very well with. I believe there are traitors, enemies of the state, that are embedded in our alphabet agencies, that are waiting for the most opportune time to make their move to help illegitimately overthrow your presidency. The very agencies that never thought you'd be elected and tried to obstruct and derail your run for presidency when your momentum started gaining. Mr. President, I believe that there's a lot more going on here than what meets the eye, and I would like to believe that you know the same. Just know this, Mr. President. We the patriots, the 3%ers, the militia, have your back and are here at your beck and call. All you have to do is come out on Twitter, Facebook, or any news outlet and call all patriots to arms. And there will be a show of force at your doorstep, Mr. President, in a moment's notice, with more firepower and strength than anything the world has ever seen to protect you and this country. We are watching and waiting, Mr. President. All you have to do is say the word.
Good afternoon, U.S. Attorney's Office.
Yes, it's Blowhard Bob in. Bob Norman.
Okay, may I ask who's calling, please?
It's Matt Reardon, the Outlaw.
Okay, hold on, please.
Bob Norman.
Bob Norman.
Is not available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone. Press the pound key to end recording.
Bob Norman. Matt Reardon. Hey, I wanted to ask you if you knew who the 2 FBI agents that I sat down with back in 2017 were. I know that you had called ahead, and I can't recall their name, and it's very important at this stage of the game, and I would like to find out who they are. The 302 has just grown two legs, disappeared. Check out the evidence. At this point, plausible deniability is off the table. What I am demanding at this point, for me to have been guilty of the state's charge, would have made it that I was guilty of lying to the FBI. So I'm either demanding to get indicted for lying to the FBI or for Robin Tannehill to be indicted as part of the election fraud that happened back in 2017. Now, I doubt that's going to happen. There's no way that I could have been guilty of the state's crime and not have been guilty of lying to the FBI. One way or the other, the evidence deserves its day in court. It deserves a trial. And that's what I'm asking for. 662-812-1613. 662-812-1613. Thanks, Bob.
Remember this phrase. When freedom is outlawed, only the outlaws will be free. I don't mind being an outlaw at all. I don't mind wearing it on my shirt.
Matthew Reardon. Mr. Reardon, I'm going to give you a warning one time and one time only. The next time you call up here, the next time you give anybody in my staff a hard time, I'm going to have you arrested for contempt of court. You're not to come up here. When you call up here, you have to be directed.
Your Honor, how did I do that?
Be quiet, sir. If I hear saying you want to discuss something with me, let's hear it. What do you want to discuss with me?
I was simply trying to inquire on the outcome of my ex. She falsely accused me of rape. You've created a monster.
Please take him on back. Take him on back to the back. Go to the back, sir. I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Take him on back.
Your Honor, I was just trying to address this.
All right, sir, let's go. Come on. You want to go on your own?
Your Honor, please. My wife is outside.
I don't care.
I've reviewed your motion to dismiss on the alternative transfer, but you are entitled to hear on that. I think just a couple of thoughts on it. This is your initial appearance, whether you plead guilty or not guilty, obviously, by looking at your motion or by viewing your motion in your dismissal and alternative transfer that you are obviously pleaded not guilty. So I don't know that I even need to ask you that, but I do want to rule on the motion. Anytime a motion is filed, a pre-trial motion is filed, I always like to get those done in advance, because it's bad if you show up on the court the actual day that you have the trial, if those motions are denied or granted, then sometimes it's not even necessary to have a court date. You filed in the proper form. You did get it filed, and that's all you have to do here. You filed a written motion. I've reviewed all the allegations that you have. It kind of speaks for itself. It was a very lengthy motion, so I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to it. Would state that what I'm going to do is I'm going to deny your motion at this time, as I do all. It doesn't mean that it will be finally denied. You can certainly feel free, and you may know this already, to renew your motion once we have a hearing date on this, trial date. This is merely your initial appearance date. I'm going to deny your motion at this time for dismissal, and we're going to trial, and I'm going to give you a date. This is for a remote hearing, just like we're doing now. We're trying to keep everyone safe. Obviously, you can renew that motion again on the trial date, and we're going to give you a Zoom trial date. We're trying to set these trial dates on a date that where you don't have to wait, as we did the date in the middle of the date in court date.
Your Honor, if I may, how can I ever get a fair trial without a jury in municipal court? It being the particular type of accusation.
We're going to mail you continuous chat. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Reardon. It's going to be January 14th at 1 o'clock. It'll be a Zoom hearing. We'll have the attorney here. I'll hear your argument. I'll look at your motion to dismiss again, and again we'll take it from there. I know you're familiar with the court system. You said you'd been in some other courts, so you kind of know how it works. I don't really have an answer for you if you feel like you're not getting a fair shake on it, but we don't have juries here. They have juries in justice court, but you're not entitled. No one's entitled to a jury.
Your Honor, that's why the whole, in the alternative to transfer, I'm wanting to move this to circuit court in order to get a fair trial via a jury of my peers. And I find it highly prejudicial and even constitutionally offensive to have to stand trial before my accuser as my jury.
And I do take note of that point, and I did see that you had that motion to transfer in there as well. So I'm going to deny that motion to transfer. Again, I will transfer cases if the law says, if I believe that they need to be transferred, I can do that to justice court. But in this case, at this time, I'm not transferring it. And I will take note of your remarks. Again, you'll feel free to make the same arguments again if you need to, or if you feel like you want to on this other day. And you've always got, whatever decision I make, if there's a fine, I'm guilty, obviously you always have the right to appeal my decision to the county court.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to appeal it though, because I feel like it's just dragging it out. It doesn't need to get drug out all this time. And I can't, Your Honor, you know as well as I do, I can't get a fair hearing in front of the accuser, that is presiding over the case.
Well, again, you can make those arguments, obviously, and if you, whatever appeal, steps you need to take, you can certainly do that. That's up to you. But as I said, I'm overruling your motions at this point, and I'm dismissing your counterclaim because of a lack of jurisdiction. And we'll send an order out to you, a formal order in writing. It tells exactly what I did, where you'll have it. And then again, you can take whatever steps that you feel like you need to between now and your next court date.
Okay. One other thing, I've asked on 3 separate occasions for a simple, complaint. Criminal complaint or a civil complaint. I don't know if this is civil or criminal. I've yet to be served anything. And I've asked now 3 separate occasions for a crime bill. Just simply a complaint to be sent to me, to be able to read the affidavit, read the crime, and in all 3 they've been ignored.
Comment from you. I'm not going to get anything from me. It has nothing to say.
I'd like to know why the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Northern District is failing to investigate crimes of public corruption as well as the intentional targeting of me by the court system, by the legal system. I've got complete evidence. I've published the evidence. Why are you not doing your job, Bob? Why are you not doing your job?
You're full of shit.
I'm full of shit, huh? The Olive Branch Court arrests me for contempt for going up there to request public records. I get arrested for contempt for being baited to Olive Branch. You really are a piece of shit.
I don't like mohawks.
You don't?
No.
Well, I don't think you're the only one.
I'm a great hair cutter.
Now, let me explain why Daddy did the mohawk, okay? Because it's important for you to know.
What?
That here lately, over the last year, one of our fundamental rights as Americans, freedom of speech, has come under attack big time. Big time. And you know what? When freedom of speech comes under attack, the only thing to fall back to, is freedom of expression. Just like you with your purple glasses, okay?
Oh.
You know? There are a lot of people that don't like purple. So what?
What? I like purple.
Calling WREG. Yes, ma'am. I was calling. I really don't know who I need to speak with up there. It's funny. I was just thinking about this. Just telling my wife about this earlier. I remember a time growing up when I was a child that I used to idolize the news, the people that I saw on the news, and thought that they were out for the better will of the people. And not more of a government propaganda machine. But I mean, over the last 3 years, I've sat back dumbfounded at
the tactics that have been deployed. I don't know how you people sleep at night.
Matt Reardon, the Oxford Outlaw. I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to cap up what all just happened, what all just took place. Nothing really that big. In fact, I already put out an article about this. Had court at Justice Court in Lafayette County in front of the Honorable Mickey Avent, and I do truly mean that. He's one of the, I'll say he's probably the only straight judge that Lafayette County has when it comes to Justice Court. He's by the book. And that's the only reason why I decided I would go ahead and I would keep it in Lafayette County. I would fight it in Lafayette County. Judge Avent told me last week, he started reading my motion that I submitted. Hell, by now he's probably seen the video. He told me because he was the judge on the case and he saw that it started spilling into the details, he stopped reading it right there. So there was no, in advance dismissing. Lafayette County is in fact not dismissing the charges. So I am in fact I'm giving Mickey Avent the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to let him try it because I think he can. Although I think that there are certainly a lot of conflicts of interest here in the area. I think that Mickey's going to look at the facts. And I think that regardless, I think that he would weigh it evenly. And I think regardless, he's going to come to the same opinion that I did. That in no way, shape, or form did anything that I did truly constitute an arrest by Courtney Dixon. Horrible state actor. Omar Ahmed, right there with him. Joey East refused to speak to me. He watched like it was a spectator sport while they were trying to beat my ass in the parking lot.
All rise. Before we proceed, I want to make sure that certain rules are followed. Rule 1.03, the use of cameras, recording, or broadcasting equipment, or such shall be governed by the Code of Judicial Conduct. A couple of years ago, the law was changed as far as recording in courts. The bigger courts are allowed to record. So the Justice Court Rule 1.03, cameras are recorded as what devices should still not allowed in justice courts or municipal courts. So, Mr. Reardon, I want to make sure that you understand there shall be no recording of this.
Your Honor, I had questions about that. I had questions about that, Your Honor. It's my understanding Justice Court...
It shall not be permitted. As far as the recorded device, camera, or anything as far as the hearing is concerned, it shall not be allowed.
Can I put a motion before the court for that?
Mr. Reardon, that is the rule of the Justice Court. We're not going to have to record. Are you recording this here?
I've got my cell phone recording, yes, sir.
Mr. Constable, we can make sure it is. Yes, sir.
The foregoing petition is in regards to the current ongoing criminal charge of disorderly conduct and resisting arrest, which are identified in this court under cause numbers 929-0609 and 929-0610, respectively. The plaintiff in this particular matter brought forth is Matthew Reardon, whom hereby petitions for a writ of mandamus and seeks relief from the trial court, trial judge, and ruling made on March 1st, 2021. Plaintiff states that the defendant judge, Mickey Avent, acted outside of his jurisdiction, of his office, and even authority in this particular situation in ordering that the plaintiff cease recording of proceedings brought forth in this court. The trial judge did so, citing Rule 1.03. The trial judge referenced the Uniform Rules of Procedure for Justice Court. Plaintiff stated on numerous occasions that he felt he couldn't get a fair hearing in the Lafayette County Justice Court due to events that have taken place over the past 3.5 years, all stemming from the crippling decisions made in this very court when Judge Carolyn Bell took it on herself to set plaintiff's bond at $150,000 on a felony charge levied against the plaintiff in May of 2017, which not only lacked probable cause, but deprived the plaintiff of his due process rights along with his civil liberties by setting bond in a punitive way, even when plaintiff asserted he had solid proof that he couldn't have possibly committed such crime. Plaintiff had assertively claimed reservations and worries that he had, including recently demonstrating how he feels that he's demonstrated Lafayette County officials and agencies denying the plaintiff of equal protections of the law, which are granted not only by Article 3 of the Mississippi Constitution and its Bill of Rights, but the federal Constitution, which plaintiff swore a lifelong oath to protect and defend. Plaintiff would vehemently affirm before this court that he has remained on the receiving end of repetitive targeting by way of preferential prosecution, which over and over has exceeded the threshold of malicious prosecution and even prosecutorial misconduct. Not only is this blatant to the plaintiff in this cause, but it should be blatantly clear to any onlooker, not only with this cause, but the other open causes filed in this court as well. When all evidence is assessed in November 2020, plaintiff was involved in a case in Olive Branch where he was charged with contempt despite doing exactly what he was asked to do by the court. Fortunately, the case was just dismissed on March 1st, 2021 due to plaintiff carrying a tape recorder which corroborated exactly that which the plaintiff claimed. The alleged false arrest is currently on file and pending before the U.S. District Court of Northern Mississippi, referenced by case number 320-CV-00327-DMB-JMV. It is reasons like this that the plaintiff feels it is a paramount need and one that each court should allow. In fact, plaintiff is of the impression that this is a request that should be looked at as an accommodation, and one that's no different than any accommodation afforded to Americans with disabilities under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The trial judge read off the title to 1.03 in the Uniform Rules of Procedure for Justice Court. However, after the title, nothing made sense to the plaintiff, and it almost felt to the plaintiff that this reading was being falsely read and presented to the plaintiff. However, Rule 1.03 states as follows. Use of cameras. The use of cameras, recording, or broadcasting equipment, or such shall be governed by the Code of Judicial Conduct. Plaintiff would state that not only does 1.03 lack any language that would bar the use of an audio recorder, especially in lack of a court reporter/transcriber. This in turn poses prejudicial and completely one-sided to the plaintiff, where everything is left up to hearsay in the absence of proof. Plaintiff requested to motion the court for him to be allowed to audio record the hearing and was immediately denied, further being told something to the effect of, "The rules are the rules." Plaintiff hereby quotes Rule 2.03, additional rules out of the Uniform Rules of Procedure for Justice Court, which states as follows. No rule of procedure, local or otherwise, shall be adopted without the approval of the Mississippi Supreme Court. Plaintiff would request answer from this trial court, and specifically the trial judge, as to if he and this court had approval of the Mississippi Supreme Court to establish such a rule that adversely can affect the outcome of a legal proceeding, and one which is clearly not spelled out in the reference rules of Uniform Rules of Procedure for Justice Court. The plaintiff would then jump down to Rule 3.01, applicability of rules, in the same referenced outline. Rule 3.01, Rules of Criminal Procedure in Justice Court are governed by the Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure. General rules are also applicable in criminal cases. When taking a look at the Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure, which just so happens to be the true governing doctrine, and examining the facts of this case, it would appear that the rights of the plaintiff on this motion have been affected in a way that could create a material breach of even more entitled rights of the plaintiff. Rule 1.10 of the Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure details recordation of proceedings where official court reporters are not provided. Any attorney of record or pro se litigant in a court which does not provide an official court reporter may record or have recorded any court proceeding by audio recording device or stenography. Any expenses incident thereto shall be borne by the party or parties. Plaintiff is attempting to raise multiple instances of irregularities and what would easily appear to be unscrupulous, immoral, and unlawful conduct demonstrated by deputies on site while arrest was made. Plaintiff will not concede his notion that this arrest was a targeted, unwarranted, and further unlawful arrest made with excessive force used, and all for the plaintiff commuting to the Sheriff's Department to communicate his grievances with Sheriff Joey East. Plaintiff has been denied access to the closest camera angle of arrest, which plaintiff wholeheartedly believes is an attempt to hide or cover up wrongdoings and following plaintiff's assertions of not being afforded equal protections of the laws. As such, it is for these reasons listed that the plaintiff believes the idea of a fair and impartial trial is at an improbability and nearing an impossibility to the plaintiff. As such, duress is taken over. The plaintiff and plaintiff respectfully request answer from this trial court and the trial judge, along with a review of such from the Supreme Court of Mississippi. As plaintiff feels as though not having a court reporter, no jury, and no recording equipment potentially paves way to a constitutional crisis and has a habit of removing all fairness from a proceeding that should be comprised of fairness. Plaintiff also requests answers to why Lafayette County is refusing to produce the closest camera angle of the arrest and parked vehicle despite resistance on the matter. Plaintiff feels that this information is not privileged and is nothing more than the Lafayette County Sheriff's Department and Lafayette County officials yet again attempting to cover their tracks. Plaintiff hereby requests that any and all hearings in this court involving him be pushed back to allow proper response and adherence to request. If this court, the prosecutor, and the state of Mississippi wishes to proceed on with this cause and not dismiss in light of the information brought forth, then plaintiff hereby invokes his right to a trial by jury of his peers, as guaranteed to him by the state and federal constitutions. Respectfully submitted this second day of March 2021, Matt Reardon, the Oxford Outlaw.
Mr. Reardon, please approach. You have been charged with improper equipment and DUI first offense. How do you plead, sir?
It wasn't a no tag, Your Honor.
Well, expired. How do you plead, sir?
Not guilty.
Mr. Reardon, we will add this to your other charges, and we're going to continue all these cases to allow you the time to seek legal advice, give you adequate time to prepare your defense. So I think you have some cases scheduled next week. Is that correct?
On the 22nd of March.
And I believe you have actually asked for more time to prepare.
Yes, correct? Yes, Your Honor. I asked for all cases in justice court to be pushed out. Did you get the last petition?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Rule 1.10. I didn't know if you had any clarification on that, or if that was something you would address on the trial date.
Usually I don't comment in court, but Mr. Reardon, if it was your actual trial for the charges, you are allowed the audio report. If you go back and look at your petition, your motion before the court, you asked for a teleconference or a conference between the prosecutor and the judge. Is that correct?
That was for the motion to dismiss or in the alternative to compel.
That's what
yes.
We had the conference for.
Yes, Your Honor.
Under the rules, I have every right not to allow you the audio or video report. At your trial, you are allowed the audio report. That is correct. But that wasn't your trial.
Okay.
That was a teleconference or conference in person that you asked for. There is a difference. After the trial, I was made aware that you had reported the clerk and myself and put on YouTube. Because of this, I believe it would be in the best interest of all parties for me to recuse myself. I'm going to recuse myself, assigned to another judge, or a judge will be brought in from another county. We're going to continue this. Put the front window and make sure that they have your proper address and telephone number
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to make sure we get all this combined and have it at one hearing. Well, the court, I recuse myself and let the court handle it and bring in the other case.
Okay. Sir, if you would, sign and put your phone number, please. Just got to coordinate a march.
And I'll put my address on there as well. Okay. So, Your Honor, it is going to be, you said you were going to, so I still need to be back here on the 22nd of March?
We'll let you know before the Sunday and definitely we have contact the internal.
Who are you trying to protect? Is it that there's no call that came in, or is it that there's somebody like Robin Tannehill or Ray Tannehill that's on that call? I want to know. Who's on the call? Who's on the call? Was there a call or was there not a call? It was, but it was on the police report that I got from May 30th.
Whatever medicine you're on, I think you need to go
Really?
medicine or something.
Really?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
The response of the sheriff. The response of the sheriff. Oh, really? Hey, get away from me. Get any closer. Get any closer. Okay. Really? Really?
Dude,
get away from me with that cupcake. That bullshit.
Oh, man.
Hey, just so y'all know, I just want to remind you, Trump will be your president for the next 4 years to another term. Y'all are corrupt as you can be. Corrupt as you can be.
So angry. What you angry about?
I'm pissed off y'all violated my fucking rights.
Come on.
And if that's been...
What do you think about the fraud over there at Circuit Court? The what? The fraud at Circuit Court. What are you talking about, fraud? So I caught them changing records. Up there. Luckily, I had the screenshots.
How? How you gonna tell me you destroyed the evidence? But you're gonna lie to the Oxford Eagle. You're gonna lie to the Oxford Eagle and then tell me you destroyed the evidence. How you gonna lie to the Oxford Eagle and then destroy the damn evidence? You didn't lie when you said that I threatened their life. You didn't lie to them when you said that I threatened their life. You didn't lie to them when you said I steadily drove by. I'm the liar. I'm the liar. Okay, where's the evidence to back up your frivolous, silly, lame-ass claim? Huh? Okay, but you said that I steadily drove by their place and put them in fear of their life. You're a joke. You're a damn joke.
It's season 3 of Riding with the Outlaw.
MBI.
Yes, ma'am. I was calling to see if the MBI had any remarks for accusations of it being complicit in an ongoing scandal involving the Oxford mayor.
Okay. And what is your name?
My name's Matt Reardon.
Pardon?
My name is Matt Reardon.
Oh. Okay. And a phone number for you, Mr. Bisbee?
662-812-1613.
Yes, sir.
I've called 5 times. This is the 5th time now. I've described the scandal to the T. I've produced unsurpassed amounts of evidence. At this point, the only explanation for the MBI not getting in touch with me, like I've been told every time, is that they are complicit in the scandal. And I'm making the direct accusation of the MBI being complicit in everything going on for the simple fact of they have neglected their own duties. They have allowed nonsense election fraud to go on. They have allowed an innocent citizen to stay framed that was part of an election stunt, and they have refused to so much as even pick up the phone and talk to me. There's no other way of looking at it than the MBI is complicit in feeding directly out of the hands of the problem.
Okay, sir. Well, I apologize that no one has called you back. I can dispatch the message.
I know. It's your organization that's corrupt, though. It's not you. You've passed the message along, but, corrupt individuals in your organization have seemingly propelled and allowed this problem to go on and have fed it with gasoline.
Okay, well, sir, if you have any issues with our agency, it can be reported to the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, the
Have you
Attorney
done that?
General's office is just as complicit because I've reached out to them. I mean, for nobody to even look at the evidence that's right in front of their very eyes just says a lot of the status of the status quo of our country and its agencies. And it's absolutely sickening.
Okay, sir. Well, I apologize. There's nothing that I can do to help you other than providing this information to someone to have them return your call. Now, at what point they do that, I have no control over that, sir.
I understand that, but I'm just all I'm saying here is that this is something that when it blows up into a bigger problem, the finger pointing is going to be directly at the agencies that did not do anything about it. That were begged to intervene.
Sir. Okay. Well, let me get this message. Let me verify I have your number. 662-812-1613.
Correct.
Okay.
What about the email, May 26th? That you sent out, May 26th, 2017, you sent out to the mayor about the new proposed gun laws in Oxford. You were pushing to change. Isn't that a coincidence? The day that I get ambushed in Oxford, you sent an email out. No, it's not. Okay, if we're going to look at conspiracy as in a plot between two or more people, then yes. If we're talking about conspiracy from a standpoint of hocus pocus, just making stuff up, no. You sent an email that it's on the internet. It was on the internet because it was part of the agenda that was published on June 6th. I was supposed to speak right after you. After you spoke, you came back at the end of the meeting because there were 2 bullet points where you were supposed to discuss the new proposed gun laws in Oxford. And I think it's a coincidence that May 26th, the day everything happened, nobody ever wanted to look into Todd Lynch and the threat that he made, calling for the community to come together to do something about Matt Reardon. But, my kids have been directly affected by this. I lost 4 houses over the last 4 years. It's not fair for me to be carrying around a fake tag, a felon and stalker, knowing that not only did I not commit the crime, but it was an impossibility to have been committed. Impossibility.
Let me say this. I appreciate you come up here. Don't come back in with the camera. Okay?
Yeah.
And all the stuff that you're talking about, it's an old case that you pled to. You pled guilty to that in a court of law.
I just got diagnosed with bipolar. Y'all preyed on a mental illness of somebody that you tried to get. Right.
So that case is over.
However, before I pled guilty, the county was in violation of my due process rights guaranteed under the Constitution. So, does that really even make my plea valid? I think not.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this, but in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here.
Y'all are employed by the taxpayers.
For us,
you
the
don't
living,
take orders from
rather to be
really?
dedicated here.
Y'all are
to
paid
the
with
unfinished
taxpayer
work,
dollars. Y'all are
which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced.
If you're a media and trying to interview,
it is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion.
I think it's
that we were highly resolved
hilarious
that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people,
right here,
for the people,
y'all have y'all cannot answer why you're here, can you?
Matt, they don't owe you any answers. Keep moving.
Hey, but look, but Timmy Pruitt was so easy to arrest me for standing in front of the statue. They're over there willfully breaking the city code, which is held to such a high standard over here.
FBI.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to get a 302 from 2017. The FBI has not been cooperative with me at all. I want to know if I can come down there to the field office where it was conducted and get that 302 myself.
We're not really allowing anybody in our office from the outside right now because of COVID-19. All offices are operating at only 25% capacity. There's not a whole lot that anybody can do about that, especially if you've already put in a request for it.
The FBI has not even so much as spoken to me in regards to, I met with them the day before I was framed on a crime that I couldn't have committed back in 2017. They sat down with me. I had a death threat on me at the time. You know, I feel like through ultimately letting me drown in this and having proof that I couldn't have committed the crime, I would like to see the 302 from that sit-down investigation. And I would also like to obtain the video recording in the conference room when the meeting was taking place, just to verify accuracy of the 302.
Video?
Oh, I know there were cameras present in the room.
I don't think we do not have, after a certain amount of time, that footage is erased, so I don't think we'll be able to obtain that.
What's the standard procedure for erasing the video?
Well, it does it automatically, so I don't know. That's up to our electronic technicians. They do that. They handle all of that.
But who would I need to speak with about that?
The Jackson office.
The Jackson office? Okay.
I have your information. I'm gonna check around and see if I can find someone who spoke with you. Do you remember anything about the person? Any physical descriptions?
If you put my name into the system, I mean, they cannot sit down with me in a conference room and conduct a interrogation interview without there being a 302 created. You know, that's standard protocol. A 302 has to be created with an interrogation. So, I mean, it shouldn't be a matter of having to find the agent that met with me. It's just where's the 302? He shouldn't have to make it up now. The 302 is already made up.
The agent who conducted the interview would be responsible for the 302. So I do actually need to know who spoke with you.
Right, but y'all don't have a centralized system?
Look, I'm not allowed to talk to you about our systems.
But this is in regards to something that was created for me, and it's very important to know. I mean, that's another thing that I can FOIA if I need to, as far as where are these 302s going? Are they not created and put into a centralized system? Surely they're not kept in the hands and surely they're not kept in the hands of the officer that conducted the investigation. That would be ridiculous.
Sir, I'm going to do my best. If you want to keep on, you can, but I'm going to do my best to get you what you need. Okay? I promise you that.
Okay.
I cannot share any information with you about our system. That is illegal.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I've got your number.
Yes.
Okay. I will be sure to call you back on that as soon as I come in contact with your 302, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, yes, attorney's office.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to figure out who I need to speak with. Who oversees y'all's department?
The Department of Justice, is that what you're asking?
Yes. Okay, would I need to contact Jackson, or I'm trying to, I feel like, y'all's
main job is not being done. I'm a citizen in the state of Mississippi. I was framed in what I think is the largest public corruption scandal. It involves people in the local government in Oxford. I've been calling now for 2 weeks. I've been leaving messages. I got a call that I missed last Friday, and I left a message, a voicemail 2 days ago. I don't know what could be more important. Like, in 2 weeks' time, not getting one phone call. Go to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and something this big, somebody should have reached out to me by now.
Okay, one moment. I'm unable to assist you in this situation because I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'm going to transfer you to someone who can hopefully help you.
I hope I can speak to somebody finally.
This is Robin, so I'm away from my phone right now. If you leave a message, I will call you back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Robin, this is Matt Reardon. I left you a message 3 days ago now. I've been calling up there for about the past is 2
for the
weeks.
courage I possess through the trauma. Ain't just for the hurt, but it's all for the honor. A is for my attitude, working through the patience. Money comes and goes, but the image for motivation.
And I can't even get the U.S. Attorney's Office to give me a call back. It's a damn shame. So clearly I'm probably just going to have to go this route on my own. I'm not even getting a call back. The U.S. Attorney's Office is not interested in investigating this, much less hearing about it. If you're in the office today, please give me a call back, 662-892-0132. I gotta be honest with you, it really, really bothers me because the agency's tasked with protecting the American people are hurting the American citizens. Do not even help. And I'd like to think that that's not what's going on up there, but 2 weeks' time, and I've stressed the importance of this, my time is running out. The statute of limitations is running out. Please give me a call.
Yeah. Surpassed all rivals. It's all about who wants it the most. Fight for what we believe in. That's what champions are made of. Yeah. Champions.
Bob Norman. Finally caught you.
Excuse me, I'm on the phone.
Yes, sir. You've been a hard guy to reach. Well, I'm still trying to get to the bottom of everything. It's been fraudulent concealment out the ass. You know you guys are holding on to something, they're not giving up.
You know what? There's no point in me responding to that because you're not going to reason anyway.
I just want to know.
Ask you something. You know, talk about being a Marine Corps veteran.
That's right.
The Marine Corps kicked you out because you couldn't hack it.
They kicked me out because I couldn't hack it. I'd like to see. Huh? It's a general under other than honorable conditions for alcohol rehabilitation failure because.
Couldn't hack it.
No, because I witnessed 2 gruesome suicides. Because I couldn't hack it. Let me see your service. Where's your service record at, Blowhard Bob?
I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps and came out with an honorable discharge.
Oh, yeah? So why can't you apply the law?
I do. You're a convicted felon.
Per the rights granted to me in the Constitution, I have every right to obtain justice, to seek justice. Every right. Granted to me under the United States Constitution. Under the United States Constitution. You're a crooked son of a bitch.
All in all, those proven corrupt acts of our government branches and its complete abuses of power caused me to lose trust and hope in our government. A complete lack of trust and faith in our government's alphabet agencies, by ways of these agencies selectively enforcing the law, and even worse, persecuting innocent citizens based on political reasons. Politics has absolutely no place in law enforcement, and it definitely has no place in the courts. The courts should condemn this type of behavior. Sanctions, slap on the wrist, are never enough when it comes to the rights of a citizen being trampled on at the hands of a public corruption scandal. Public corruption, especially involving government officials, working in an official capacity, warrant nothing shy, in my opinion, of capital punishment due to the complete, absolute treasonous nature, not to mention the peace, dignity, and integrity of the state and our government that may never truly fully recover. The true criminals are seemingly never sought, and even worse, never prosecuted. Instead, law-abiding citizens are all too often accused of crimes they did not nor would not ever commit. They are pressured. Some are even threatened with the targeting of others close to them. The threat of lengthy incarceration and the concern that every parent should have of both providing for and being there for their children. I didn't stand a chance of my own at the time everything happened, when you take into consideration all the different factors and one of the best thought out, highly connected, and tightly woven conspiracies that protected those involved, being that all three branches of local government, the executive, legislative, and even judicial, were involved, along with multiple attorneys and at least one federal three-letter alphabet agency, the FBI. There was local law enforcement that framed me, but it was law enforcement on a federal level that stood by doing absolutely nothing at all, while all along having proof I couldn't have possibly committed the crime in question. It's no different than a lifeguard whose sole job is to keep watch and keep those swimming safe. What would you do? What would you think if you saw the lifeguard standing around with his hand in a cookie jar, just watching a child drown? Especially if you were too far away to save the child yourself. You'd feel the lifeguard caused the child to die by neglect, from not acting. Anger, confusion, and untrusting of that lifeguard would be pretty fair emotions that most would exhibit. Would you allow your child to swim unattended under that lifeguard's watch? Or would that one incident cause you to permanently lose trust in that lifeguard, even all lifeguards for that matter? Now imagine being framed for something way out in left field. Imagine being treated like a prisoner at Guantanamo Bay, being shackled at the wrist, waist, and ankles in an orange jumpsuit and walked via 2 to 3 deputies out in the most public of spaces, ending up in the famous and ancient courthouse in the middle of the city, where over the weeks prior, you had so proudly stood cherishing and showing public support for the very freedoms afforded to every citizen, the freedoms that now landed you in this very place, and done for 3 reasons in particular. One of them being a publicity stunt brought about by their all-out assassination on a private citizen's rights. I directly hold the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office accountable for turning a blind eye and choosing to obstruct, in their own ways, my ability to properly see vindication based on evidence. The local government will have to answer to several integrity questions posed, such as why they so easily allowed banishment on a sentence, and they're protecting their dirty ways through methods such as covenants to not sue.
Oh, beautiful.
When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume, among the powers of the earth, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for public good. He has forbidden governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be attained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts, people, unless these people would relinquish the right of representation of the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness invasions on the rights of the people.
He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and from convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their paychecks. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in neighboring provinces, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it once again example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an indistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble of terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We've warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice.
Thank you. Thank you. So all we were asking is just to obey by the same laws, keep it fair on both sides. I'm journalizing. I'm not here protesting. No, I'm journalizing. I've made it very clear since the beginning. You see this? Very disturbing. And didn't even care that it was caught on video. That's how reckless they are. They don't care. They're well banned. The state police are getting a call tomorrow about this horse shit.
Yeah, you know who it is. Ha. Sounds familiar. A lot of stuff going on in Oxford, a lot of stuff going on in Lafayette County, and we are reminded by it all that freedom ain't free. It comes with a price tag. Yeah, you know who it is. Might been cold for a little while. From Keystone Kid to Kilo Jones, Ascot Mills, why they call me the Outlaw. All the time reminding rhymes, low blow, racketeer and pay for play, you filthy Democrat. Another one just for fun, I think it's him, he's back again. Oh shit, it's Matt. Play my fam against me, thought you had to win. I guess it's easy to think when you're looking at a grandstanding room of criminals with a gun and a badge. I forgot about Timmy, does he have his back? Back to the streets, back to the bar, back to bowling, back to be a star, back to the jail, to the court, to the pen, and when I get to drink and start back over again, I'm going back to the streets, back to the bar, back to bowling, back to be a star, back to the jail, to the court, to the pen, and when I get to drink and start back over again, as I was sitting in my cell watching minutes ticking by, had this voice talking to me, Kilo, I wish you died, contemplating suicide, but at least I didn't try, had a promise to my mama, never wanna see her cry, all the loved ones looking at me, man, I see it in their eyes, that's a painful disappointment, couldn't see through
my disguise. Keep the one eye in the mirror, try to keep from getting slammed. Always pressing forward and writing, cause I always go him. Keep the sign of struggle always on my left arm, understand. I'm the rubber band man, not T.I., no I'm the man. Take your city, take your state, let you know just who I am. I'm the conniving conniver, Mr. Webster Duke and Sam. I'm going back to the streets, back to the bar, back to ballin', back to be a star, back to the jail, to the court, to the pen. And when I get to drink and start back over again, I'm going back to the streets, back to the bar, back to ballin', back to be a star, back to the jail, to the court, to the pen. And when I get to drink and start back over again, yeah, behind bars, looking out, doing big time. It's my plan when I leave, gotta keep shining. I ain't gone forever, mama, quit crying. I'm a fighting believer now, I ain't dying. No one ring it to me, yeah, take a while. And the shit I did, wish I could take it right. All the steps and ways, wish I could rewrite. Then I'll be back on my feet, trying with my might. Trying to make them stack up to the ceiling. Man, you ain't never held him stacked since I held the feeling. Wow. Now bring it back. I lose my concentration when I think I'm going back to the streets, back to the bar, back to ballin', back to be a star, back to the jail, to the court, to the pen. And when I get to drinking, start back over again. I'm going back to the streets, back to the bar, back to ballin', back to be a star, back to the jail, to the court, to the pen. And when I get to drinking, start back over again. Yeah, Oxford Outlaw, mic check, 1, 2. I stole the mic, stole the stage, gave them back to you. See that chick on my left arm, she's something, dude. And that brother crossed the line, man, I'm sorry, dude. I got everything I got from doing what I do. I went from bottom to the top without help from you. I've been out the game for years, now I ain't new. I done do this shit and why am I going harder, dude? Like I said back in 06, I go hard for money. Now why you all up in my shit? What you think I'm funny? You know conspiracy's a bitch, so quit talking, dummy. All the shit I put you through, yo, I'm sorry, mom.